Oh, greetings to the world, greetings to the universe, greetings to all of the aliens and humans and creatures and everybody out there that has nothing else better to do but to listen to the Real Resilience Talk podcast, because that's what this is. And I'm still Cam, and this is again still the Real Resilience podcast, Real Resilience Talk podcast. I'm getting rusty. You can tell how long I've been out the game. Hey, we're gonna get into it today. That's the sounds of Monchichi Rex. You want to check him out? Second Winds. It's a good track. It basically says everything about resilience. But I'm going to start off by saying resilience to me is like what Stallone said in like Rocky 39 in the street talking to his little ungrateful son who's acting like a little biscuit. He was like, it ain't about how you hit. It's about how you can get it and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done. So that's where I'm coming from with it. But today I have a special guest, a warrior of humans, my man Erik here. And I just want to go ahead and pass the mic to him so I can shut my fat ass mouth up and ask him, hey, brother, where you coming from and what is resilience to you?
Yeah, so thanks for having me on. I know you reached out, and just to the audience, I'm nobody super special. Just so happens I knew Cam from a previous life and actually got introduced to Real Resilience via a friend of ours. So I reached out to him and he's like, hey, why don't you come on? I'm like, dude, if anything, I can probably be an excellent example of things not to do. So if you're looking for any, great insight, you might be a little bit disappointed. So, but it might get a little raw and real. So for everybody out there, my idea of resilience is don't quit. Keep going. I know when we'll get into it, sometimes that's easier said than done. And sometimes you don't know what direction you're going, but as a retired Marine, I kind of think back to Chesty Puller, who says I'm surrounded. That simplifies my problem.
That's right.
So attack in any direction, and at least you're making progress in one way, shape, or form. So that's what I think of resilience.
I love it. And thank you, obviously, for your service to everyone out there. Never think that this is just a neat show for veterans. It just happens to be. I'm a product of my environment, and I know a lot of strong warriors who happen to have served. So, but thank you, because this world is safe from your service and sacrifice. And, that doesn't come with, it doesn't come free, put it like that. Right.
Yeah. Totally agree. I would also caveat that to, you and I volunteered for this shit.
That's right.
Our kids were born into it, and our wives married into it. So anytime you think of vet, make sure you thank those who, they had a choice, maybe. But, right. They sacrificed just as much as those in uniform here back home. And sometimes, turn it into an instant single parent with a house full of kids, especially those younger troops. That's real resilience right there.
That it is. and well said, my friend. And thank you for pointing that out, because I sometimes am ungrateful and don't always acknowledge that myself. So thank you. And thank you to all of the spouses and family members and supporters, friends, family. Like, at least I had a guy on here recently. He wrote that book, August 2009. And he said, for some ways he felt like his mom had it worse because, she had no idea what the fuck was going on where he was. At least he knew from time to time what was going on where he was in country, and the stress and the sometimes just not knowing. And especially as Americans, how that messes with us when we don't know things. So with that and heart on the, matters of the heart, it's a rough job. And they're not even getting the glory for it. It's not like, they get the thank you for your service every 2 seconds. So big shout out to all of the supporters and family members of veterans and those who, for an all volunteer force, longest campaigns in American history, and no draft. So how about that?
Yep. For sure. Yeah. Funny. Well, it's funny now. It wasn't funny at the time. I'm sure. Did you ever see American Sniper?
Yes.
Remember when he's on the phone to his wife and all of a sudden they get into a firefight? Yeah, that's like a no shitter happened between me and my wife, and my kids even talk about it like today. It wasn't quite a firefight, but the fob I was at came under attack. I'm like, oh, hey, honey, stuff's going on. Got to talk to you about. Bye. Click, and all she's hearing is tish, tish, tish. So
Wow.
yeah, needless, I did call her back, say
Right,
yep,
right.
everything's good to go, but yeah, that if anybody goes, oh, that's bullshit, that's just a Hollywoodism. No, that in the modern world of technology, that's at least from my first person view, that's a no shitter.
Yes, no, you're 100% right. I can remember being on a five, and we would get mortared, and I would just email my wife. We were kind of essentially using it as like DMs. You know, the first time I ever sent an email was in Iraq, and I would just tell her, "Boom, boom was today. All is good." You know, there was some boom, boom, and that was all I'd be able to tell her because you know we'd just be taking in RPG and mortar and indirect fire and stuff. So whatever, but it's real.
Yeah, that is for sure. So. Yeah, for the audience, just by way of background, retired Marine, combat arms guy. I spent the bonus Marine Corps plan, all expense paid year-long tour to Iraq, and followed up by another year-long all expense paid tour to Afghanistan.
Wow.
And I'm not sure what was worse, being in the sandbox or heading to the National Capital Region, the headquarters Marine Corps. You know, the verdict's kind of out with that. Yeah, so retired out of the National Capital Region, went into a government service, which is where I met Cam on a Navy base. Actually had him come over to talk to my group, and we had to catch up. And he's like, I know you. Where do I know you from? I'm like, yeah, man, remember this? He goes, oh, I do remember that.
That's right. Small world.
Yeah, totally small world. And yeah, now I'm out in corporate America. So it's I don't know if you want to say it's the third career or just dipping my toes into something a little different. But it's been a trip, good and bad, in a lot of cases. So hopefully we can dive into some of that. And all I can say is I hope there's some folks out there listening who might find something of use in my story. That if nothing else, realize that you're never alone in your struggle. There's always somebody else that's probably going through similar crap or has gone through it and made it to the other side. Some of it's just going to be with you.
That's right.
And it's riding that dragon and learning to coexist, I guess, is a at least what I've come to think of it as in some cases.
No, that's well said, and I'm so glad you hit on that because really anybody out there listening, we are all as unique as our fingerprints. I firmly believe in that. But as Maya Angelou once said, we're more alike than we're unalike, and especially with people who are suffering with matters of the heart or matters of the mind or matters of the spirit. Look, you're just not alone in it. And your shit might not be the same as my shit, but together we both got some shit, and pain shared is pain divided. So give people around you one more chance, because I guarantee you, and I read this, I had a Marine write this on a thing. I kind of put out this board one time and I said, what would y'all say to people contemplating suicide? We didn't do a banner or anything. It was just on a board. We got it from Daiso, these little yellow boards. And I just put it out there so people could write down what they, because afterwards we always want to say a whole bunch of shit. I wish I could have. And I have friends on deployment, Marines and friends and family that I wish I could say something to them now. Right. And I don't judge them or shame them in any way, but if I had the opportunity, what would I say? So that was the whole premise of it. And some of the stuff that was written was it was everything from call me first dog, that's word for word, to, my favorite mantra, this too shall pass, to somebody even wrote out there, I would rather hear your entire life story than to ever hear your eulogy. And I was like, damn. And I think more people feel like that than not,
Oh yeah. Yeah, totally. For me, my kind of big yard marker was losing a friend in Iraq. And to be quite honest, I did not So that was '06, and I probably didn't even recognize there was something there for a full decade, and I still probably didn't actively dig into it and engage until, I left where we were at in 2019, right before for COVID and a couple renditions. But for anybody who suffered loss, it's tough. I think it's even tougher for those that are in uniform. And when I say uniform, I'm just not saying the military. I mean police, EMTs, firefighters. You're serving a greater good. And when you lose one of your own, it hurts. You still got to, Charlie, Mike, continue mission. But that hurts. And usually, at least in my case, I just boxed that shit up, locked it, and like stuffed it down. Yep. I'm not even sure I did it, on purpose. I just think that's what I did with it. And, I found a good podcast. It's called, Men Talking Mindfulness. And in one of their episodes, they talked about when you shove stuff down, that energy is just going to build and build and build like, a cooker until, it's got to go somewhere.
Yep.
And I think what did you say on a couple episodes? If you don't deal with your shit's going to deal with you.
Yes, I've seen that to be true. I've seen it with myself.
Yep. In my case, that some shit went down in Afghanistan as far as, losing friends, seeing stuff, the worst of humanity. I just didn't really ever have to deal with that. I just, kind of pushed it aside. And it probably wasn't until, getting out of the Marine Corps where, you had that transition, but I was still working with Marines and government, right? And so it was kind of masked for me, I think. I knew stuff was going on. Believe it or not, it was a VA email. You get these spam emails like from the VA, blah, blah, blah. And it was November 2017. I still have it. And it just asked a question. Hey, are you suffering from any of the following things? And I just, I flipped through it and I was like, holy shit, there's 8 things there and I can identify with like 7. That's got to be bullshit, So I did the alcohol, self-medication, keeping busy, keep the mind uninvolved. It probably wasn't until I went into the civilian sector, and COVID. So I'm no longer surrounded by those in uniform or those that, have that affiliation. And I think part of me was lost because I wasn't part of that tribe, right? Didn't really connect. But that's when I had to, the stuff came out and, she won't believe it, but my hero is really my wife. Cause she had, no pun intended. She had the balls to, call me on my shit and, had me, go get help. And it's been up and down, but, finding a good therapist, I was lucky enough. I found a fellow vet who's in the area, and dealing with the VA that, kind of we could relate. And, as we started sharing, he and I had very similar paths. And it just helped being able to cut through the bullshit, not the, oh, pretty dog, you're okay. Right. It was like, okay, dude, let's just cut the brass tacks. And then even recently, I know a lot of people will poo-poo, medication, like bullshit. I don't need that.
Yep.
I know this last go around, when I went to therapy, talking with the VA, I'm like, look, therapy's really good. I think it's working, but I think there's more to it. And I got to tell you, it's for me, it's made a difference for those of you out there that might be in a really, really, really dark place, and you're like at your, for me, I wasn't at the bottom of a hole. I was at the end of a rope, and it was a bottomless pit. There is help out there. And for me, what I noticed without the meds, from feelings to wanting to act, was like, boom, instantaneous. And I think with, what I've been able to get treated with, it gives me a little bit of space between having that feeling and being able to analyze it before I get sucked into it, and treating it as truth, if that makes sense.
So it's like you can kind of catch it and see the downward spiral occurring, or
yeah, exactly, and go, nope, I'm not going there. And ooh, look, little kid, I got candy here. No, screw that, right?
Don't want
it. And I've noticed it, from that standpoint. I still hate going to the grocery stores. For the longest time, I'd go to the grocery store, and I finally shared with my wife. I said, yeah, I hate going into Costco. I hate going into a grocery store. She goes, why is that? And I said, well, I don't know. And I started thinking about it. And if you've ever been, over in the sandbox in any of those villas, you know how they're all like, alleyways, and you're channelized. That's what my brain was like. Oh my gosh, I'm in aisle 6, and
right.
At least now on the meds, I'm able to, and through doing some, non-jarhead stuff, but shit works. Doing mindfulness and meditation, being able to realize, your body reacts, right? So if it gets trained to react in a certain way, if it thinks it's in a certain situation, it's going to react. And now I can recognize when my body's getting into that fight, flight, freeze, and go, okay, Whiskey Tango Foxtrot, what's going on?
That's right.
What's the trigger? And not get, sucked into the jet wash of the moment, and make poor decisions or act negatively and stuff like that. So, not saying that it's for everyone. I poo-pooed it for the longest time. Bullshit.
Same.
I don't need
Same.
that. I don't need
Same.
that. And finally I was like, what's it going to hurt?
That's right.
The worst it can do is nothing, which, okay, no harm, no foul. But what if, and at least for me, I mean, dude, meds do all sorts of shit to people, right? So trying to find what the right dose and the right this and the right that. But I've had a lot of success, at least recently. It's only been, I don't know, probably about a year, maybe not even, but it's made a tremendous difference in being able to tease things apart and not get so sucked into the feelings, I guess, or the I think you had actually called it the inner bitch one time.
It's just what it is. It's just that little thing inside you that just like wants to be a victim, and it's conniving. And I think a mentor of mine, Kevin O'Hara, always claim is like my precious, like that's what he calls it. And it's like, you got to kill it. Like you have to kill. It's a part of you, but you got to kill that side of you. And I love that you're saying about the meds, because I was a poo-pooer too forever. And I've already said my story a million times, so nobody tuned in to listen to me say it again. But it makes such a fucking difference. And you said it, you described it so awesomely, because you are able to, it kind of slows down that downward spiral to where you're able to catch yourself and go, aha, aha. Whereas before, I would have just automatically made an impulsive decision. I would have been like, fuck it, I'm drinking this whole bottle of Crown or Jack or whatever it is. Fuck this, nobody gets it. I'm broken. Fuck it. I am what I guess I'm gonna be that. That's what, you're a piece of shit. I know. I guess what I am. You know what I mean? And but through the meds over time, my lows don't get as low. That doesn't mean I don't still have highs and lows. It's just the lows aren't as deathly low as they were, to where thoughts may come, but actions don't ensue as they did before.
Yeah, that's I think that's totally spot on. I mean, that pretty much describes my experience as well. As far as like you said, those thoughts may come and go. or may show up, but you're able to go, I smell
That's right.
bullshit.
Yep.
I'm not biting, so to speak,
Right.
using
And by
a
bitch,
fishing
everyone, I'm going to quote Anthony Kiedis because he said it so well. The smart lead singer of Red Hot Chili Peppers. He said, I'm not referring to gender or animals, but you know what we mean, that little weakling inside of you, that little bitch. And you all use it in context. So it's basically like another pronoun at this point in American language and dialect. So don't try to cancel me. Okay. First Amendment. Okay. Still has that. That's what I mean.
Well, yeah. And, talking about the inner bitch, I heard somebody was talking about it. It's like, so, being a true friend, what's a true friend like? If somebody was in a moment of weakness, like you were talking about with the Marines, hey, call me, dog, reach out to me, this, that, and the other. What's our inner bitch do? Just the freaking opposite. That's a lot of times.
I got this.
Yeah. I got it. Suck it up, buttercup, all the Green Machine, sayings,
That's right.
and all those sorts of things. And holy shit, how can you be if you want to look at it this way, how can you really truly be, a good friend to somebody else if your inner bitch is your worst enemy? I mean, if you can't even be your own quote unquote best friend, imagine what we would be able to accomplish if the inner bitch was your forever cheerleader. And I'm not saying, freaking rainbows and unicorns type stuff, but, just being realistic instead of, 100% critical. And yeah, dude, my inner bitch, I'm training it right now. But I've had the, you're worthless, you're a piece of shit, you can't do anything right, and that just gets, I mean, it's like a record. It just tink, 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 and if you tell yourself, a lie long enough, you start believing it.
It's true. It's very true, especially when it's attached to feeling and, as you've described, some trauma and pain. And this is what I've always said to myself kind of stuff. And I love too what you said. And so many of us, it's just woven into our culture. It's just what it is. And it's no diss on our American culture. It's great. We seek perfection. That's what we seek. And if you're a service member, if you're a Marine, like in our case, you're seeking like the tip top squared away perfection. Here's the thing when it comes to our wellness. The filter for me has evolved to, is this shit going to make anything worse? Nah, fuck it. I'll try it, right? What's the worst that's going to happen? It's not going to make anything worse. But because it doesn't make everything perfect, we automatically be like, fuck therapy. Fuck, throw it all out, baby out with the bathwater. Like this one thing, like maybe it wasn't that dosage. Maybe it wasn't that therapist. Luckily you found one, but like, it's like dating. You can find a different therapist sometimes, right? But
and I had to. I found this one, but the first one was...
What happened?
It was almost, just rote script type thing. I'm like, I don't think this is going to work.
Right.
And luckily this gentleman was around and said, hey, if you need anything, let me know, given that opening, which, another thing out there, and I'm jumping all over the place. I'm
loving it. Please, and thank you for being as real as you are about all of this. Please, this is gold. This is beautiful.
Well, I tell you what, I have been a nervous Nelly about this, ever since you threw it out there. And this is like totally, I'm an introvert. So this is like, you'd never know it. I mean, most people are like, oh, you're not an introvert. I'm like, no, yeah, that's where I gravitate towards. And so even discussing a lot of this stuff, open mic, so to speak. This is like way outside of, my box. But what I wanted to say is that you never know the impact you're going to have on somebody. And I know for me, when I was at the end of the rope, just a kind word of, inspiration and to instill just that like flicker of hope, made all the difference. Because when you're in a dark place, you're really, you're really struggling. A lot of times it's inside your head. It's not out in the world. It's how you're perceiving it and what you're telling yourself and the line of bullshit you're feeding yourself. But man, it's popcorn, man. It tastes good. The sounds real. And you just, don't double check your dope, so to speak. Having, that one person that lets you know that they love you or gives you a hug or you matter. And hey, I'm sure there's probably people out there that are probably listening and say, bullshit, that'd never be me, or fuck that, I'm going to push them away. We're all human.
That's right.
Last time I checked, we've been tribal since inception, probably since we were cavemen. And
Facts.
So you got to be surrounded by other people and in that interaction. And so I just want to say, my inspiration, like I mentioned before, is my wife, because I think she's unsung hero. She's amazing in the community, in our family, and everything else. And she certainly has never gotten the accolades. But I'm here today because of her. And I've probably shared it with her, but she'd probably be super embarrassed me saying it. But it's totally true. And don't get me wrong, folks. Anybody who's out there in married land, you may fight like cats and dogs, but it's the flip side of the coin, right? Love, hate, or conflict, whatever the case is, there's still passion and caring in that. And I wouldn't truly, I would not be here if it weren't for that for things she said and things she's done, and just to kind of kick me in the ass, but also pick me up when needed. So she's real. She's the real warrior. I actually asked her. I said, "Hey, you want to come on?" And she goes, "No, this is your deal. You go." And yeah, I'm like, "Are you sure?" I was like, we can tag team.
Well,
she's
like,
"No,
welcome.
you go."
If she changes her mind, she listens to this, she's always welcome. And a big shout out and big salute. And please give her a big hug from all of us listening, because we all need somebody like your wife in our life, right? Like, we all need that champion, that person, that warrior that's going to push us, to have the balls to push us and kick us in our ass when we need it. And that's love. Yep. And it's sometimes telling somebody what they may not want to hear at that moment, but that's what they need to hear. And it comes from a good place. That doesn't mean it's always pretty words, No.
And it's taken me a really long time to how do I want to say it? Understand what's being said and not just hearing what's being said. Mm-hmm. Does that make sound or
yes.
make sense?
Most definitely. The thing that comes to mind for me is, Cam, go drink fucking water. And I go, I don't want to drink water. Shit like that. Like, I don't want water. Okay, well, they're probably telling you that for a reason. Just one example, i.e.,
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so it's what was the song I heard? Joey Styles, "Life is a damn trip."
Life is a damn trip. That's well said right there. That could be a face tat. That's damn good right there.
Yeah.
I think Post Malone might get that shit face tatted. You mess around. That's some good. That's just wisdom. It really is. It's a trip. It is.
Yep.
But I love what you said at the beginning. You said, "Don't quit, keep going." But you also fell right up with it. Easier said than done. It really is. Yeah. It's so much easier said than done. But to say, Charlie might continue the mission, but sometimes everything of you is just like, nah, don't want to, or you're at the end of that rope. And you talked about the tribe, and then also, I don't want to go there yet. When you say mindfulness and meditation and these things that have worked for you, yeah, one thing I want people to understand, and I love it, because you said so humbly up front, and by no means should you not express everything that you share, because it is going to help somebody out there, because most people do feel like I'm a lost cause. There's no hope. I've tried everything. We haven't tried everything until you tried everything. And my point in saying all of that is, I'm sure it wasn't just the meds. It wasn't just therapy. It wasn't just your wife. It wasn't just meditation. It wasn't just being mindful. It wasn't just controlling your breath. It wasn't just realizing I'm on all six and this shit is fucking with me. It's like a wellness omelet of all that shit together, constantly, all the fucking time. And it's not like, oh, I took the meds last year and everything's perfect. Fuck no, it's not. You still got to do the work every single
There's
fucking
no silver
day.
bullet. There's no silver bullet.
It's not happening. And so it's not like perfect, but better. and are you better? You know what I mean? And if you could just talk to that for anybody out there who's just like, I got to do this and this and this and this and this. It's like, kind of, yeah, you do, man. Like a little bit.
Yeah. I think at least for me, and it's probably been a long time coming. Number one, something I noticed is my ego and playing into that, and just I guess taking a step back and realizing you don't have all the answers.
Nope.
You don't have to be perfect. No, nobody is. Even though, if you go on Facebook and you go on Instagram, I mean, that is a mask that somebody is trying to portray that everything is perfect.
Truth.
I think you said the Lego guy, right? Everything is perfect.
Everything is awesome.
Yeah.
Everything is awesome.
How many times have you seen, on Facebook? Yeah. Hey, today freaking sucked. Let me tell you what happened.
Yeah.
I crashed the car. I ran over the dog. I got a pink slip. I'm getting evicted out of the house. You don't see any of the, real stuff. It's all reality TV.
Yeah.
Type stuff. And unfortunately, you get sucked into that. So
it's human nature, like that whole, like Jefferson, comparison is a thief of joy type thing. I'm sure it'll say Twain or Lincoln or somebody else said it. I don't know. But comparison is a thief of joy. Like it steals it away from us. And you're right. Nobody's like, today I got a shit stain. I scratched too hard on my ass and actually smeared some shit on my drawers. Nobody puts that out there. You know what I mean?
They don't. 'Cause it's not cool. Could be embarrassing. Could be, shameful. All of those negative connotations. So at some point, you can lead a horse to water. You can't make it drink until it's ready to. And I think humans, especially with the inner bitch, are a lot like horses. I don't know if you ever heard the saying, God didn't give you a sense, he gave a horse. We've got horses. So I didn't realize what that meant, but horses are dumb as a box of rocks. And or they can be. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, there we go.
So they can be hard-headed. They can be just act stupid. And we do that too, out of pride, our ego. I mean, think of how many arguments you've had where it wasn't about coming to a compromise. It was like, who's right?
Oh yeah. Guilty.
Yeah. Me too. And how much time was wasted on that sort of stuff. So I think addressing the ego, internally, and really taking a hard look and doing an after action, put the inner bitch into the corner and just try to look at it objectively. And where do you want to go? What kind of person you want to be? I'm not saying, I want to be $1 million and this, that, and the other. I mean, hey, I want to be a good human. Well, what's that mean?
It is. Yeah.
Hey, there you go. Be kind.
Be kind. Y'all can't see it right now because we're probably just going to publish the audio version of this. But right there on this shirt, y'all, it says "Be kind," and on the back, shout out to Robin Williams, it says, "Everyone you meet is fighting a battle you know nothing about. So, be kind always." I love that, man, because it's free to be kind. It really is. It doesn't cost a fucking thing, but we hold it back so much, and I've been guilty of it too.
Oh yeah, because there's that ego, and I think just humans in general. We want to feel higher than somebody else, whether it's a group or whatever the case is. But I think we should all extend some grace too.
Ooh.
Being able to, if we're all human and we're all going to make mistakes, realize extend grace instead of it being once again, being perfect means zero defect, right? So you messed up. You're worthless. Yeah. You're this. You're that. And nobody's worthless. I mean, I was thinking about this earlier. All of us are winners, and you're like, oh man, it could be somebody down and out. No, I'm not a winner. It's like, well, if you think how you got conceived.
Oh yeah.
I mean. It's what one in a million chance that you are going to end up being you.
It's true.
And you just won the lotto. And you're it comes down to, I think you posted it maybe a couple weeks ago. You had kind of stuff you can control, stuff you can't control.
That's right? That's it.
Like here's what I can control. Here's what is external to me. And your greatest power is your power to choose. So if you can look at your circle, what do we call it? What's your 1 meter what was it? Your 1 meter bubble or your 3 meter bubble? I can't remember if it was 1 or 3 meters, but
essentially your
I can control.
What's in your bubble?
Yeah. This is my bubble that I am responsible for, for controlling. It's kind of the same thing. I can't control what goes on outside of that, but I can control what's going on inside of it.
That's right.
My actions, my thoughts, instead of reacting, in the heat of a moment, being able to pause and respond. There's a great Bible verse. I think it's Old Testament, if I remember right, but something about the essence is words have the power of life and death. And I've always taken that to mean, words can either be used to uplift somebody or, tear them down.
That's factual.
And it's the same way with, your actions as well. So for me, ego, trying to remember that everybody's doing their best, and just to be gracious. We talk about meditation. I actually got into that. My wife is a yoga instructor. And first time I was really exposed to meditation was with her as part of her class. It kind of got hooked. And there was it's no longer around, but it was called the Veterans Path. And it was PATH. So it wasn't like path you walk, but it's spelled the same way, but all caps. And they sponsored a veteran, mindfulness thing on one of these podcasts. I can't even remember what it is. I think it was eMindfulness. And so I went. You had to apply. You got selected, and they kind of walked you through, all this stuff, and just, and come to find out, they're doing it with those in uniform now, and they've actually tested. I don't know who it is. Somebody has done a comparison about when two different squads are faced with the same, problem set, if you will. The ones who were trained in mindfulness and, breathing and are able to handle the stress and solve the problem faster than those who aren't. So I found that very helpful.
Yes.
I don't do it nearly as much as I should. But some people, what was one? There's some lady on YouTube. It's like, I'm making this video about meditation for all my my military members out there, and oh, dude, it was hilarious. It's like, all right, I want you to close your eyes, shut the fuck up, all right, close your eyes. I want you to breathe. This isn't any of this pussy shit, right? And she was just going, and you just. Most people would be like, sorry if that offended anybody, but yeah.
No, we're not. I'm not.
Being in uniform, it was, oh, dude, I was like in stitches.
Hilarious.
I was like, I can see that. I can see the uniform member sitting there thinking that and having her call it up. Yeah. Yeah. So it was, totally cool. So I've found that useful. If you want a couple good books, if you're being raw, I had to look it up because I only have it digitally. So the book is called Unfuck Yourself, Get Out of Your Head and Into Your Life by Gary John Bishop.
Yes.
That's pretty raw. Great book. And it just talks about, taking control and owning your shit. I mean, I've had my instances of, rationalize something away and this, that, and the other. It's like, dude, at the end of the day, you just have to own it, embrace it, learn what you can, and don't make the same mistake. Another great one is Daring Greatly by Brene Brown.
Yes.
Have you read that one?
Yes, I just went. It's funny because I quoted the shit out of it. I went to a symposium last week. The last 2 weeks, I went to a Department of Navy one, and then whatever. And the thing that jumped out of me at that most was, I might be thinking of Dare to Lead, but anyway, when they talk about the serious problem that we have with military and death by suicide, and was saying that it's not that people are isolated or disconnected, it's that they're fucking lonely. And that we, like you said earlier, need that tribe. And when we are so not, together, and we're working a lot and we're a bandwidth and all that kind of stuff, people feel lonely. And so giving somebody saying, I'll give you time off, it may be the worst thing for them. You know what I mean? So that was one thing that jumped out at me from Brene Brown stuff. And also, as you said earlier, and she said her husband said this, is that, everyone is trying their best. And he was like, I don't know if that's fucking true, but it basically gives me serenity and peace to know that maybe they are trying their best. Right. Like, I don't never know the difference, but it gives me a little bit of peace to think, okay, that crazy motherfucker is trying their best and it just is what it is. And I took something away from that.
Oh yeah. Because, we all like to judge, we were just talking about that. We all like to judge. We all like to feel superior, in one way, shape, or form, or talk smack, or whatever the case is, instead of being curious to be able to understand.
That's right.
I had a grad professor, anthropologist, that she, in her particular class, she was talking about, being able to understand, like. Going in, you've probably been, you've traveled like for pleasure, right? You ever gone into a foreign supermarket?
Yes.
Before?
Yes.
Right? So it's a supermarket. You walk in and you're just like, what the flip?
Mm-hmm.
It's a supermarket, but things are organized. They're out of place for us, right?
It's true.
Now, the locals, they know where everything's at, right? Because it's normal to them. So being able to realize that, okay, this, just because it's different doesn't mean it's wrong. It's just different. So trying to understand those and appreciate those differences, right? Can you imagine if we all acted, thought, looked alike? I mean, we'd all have like peanut butter and jelly. Drinking water, your favorite.
We'd be bots. That's right.
Yeah, that's exactly it. So yeah, it's
good.
It's something to consider. And a lot of times, I mean, one of the things I know what I did in uniform, I always, whenever I was in a foreign country that, didn't have English as a language or primary language, I didn't want to be the ugly American. Well, why aren't you speaking American over there?
That's right.
I would always attempt to learn 2 words, please and thank you.
Yes.
And I can't tell you how many times just making that little effort opens up all sorts of doors. There's one time I was at this fob, had to be in plain clothes, guarded by some foreigners, Gurkhas. And I'm like, I think they're Nepalese, right? So I came back and asked a Brit Gurkha officer of all things. I'm like, hey man, how do you say please? How do you say thank you? He's like, what? I'm like, yeah, that's all I need to know. I'm writing it down phonetically. So next time I went back there, because they've seen Americans come and go and foreigners, right?
Right.
And I go up and I say thank you to them, and the whole 9 yards, and they freaking lit up like
that's beautiful
fireworks, and they'd see me coming. Oh, sir! Oh, come over here!
Yeah,
here's the chow we're making. Now, some of it I didn't ask what it was. You just partake, but just that sort. No, it's different, but just that little effort of giving it, that acknowledgement, I think is huge. That's what we learn in kindergarten, right? Always say please, always say thank you, right?
That's true.
That goes goes a long way to connecting with people.
Just having a little bit of manners. Just having a little bit of manners. It's like the universal language of gratitude and kindness. Like most people respond well to that. More people than not will respond well to that, and good on you for doing that. And then not just that, but being an ambassador of us in foreign places, because, you know, we don't carry the best reputation all the time, and we can be pretty arrogant sometimes, you know. But for us that might think that we're so high and mighty, and you're like, this person should speak my talk. I'm like, go to a foreign country and feel stupid for about a week, and then you'll be like, I feel totally different about anybody coming here now, because it's hard, man. Yeah. It's so hard. It's so hard. And a lot of them are very accommodating to us, and we're just like, I still don't know where I'm supposed to go, you know, and I didn't. Yep. I've definitely been humbled by that. But I love, too, what you're saying about the differences, because like we are all unique, but we are more alike than unalike. But the differences, like, it's important to value it, and it keeps us humble, but it also keeps you appreciative of that. You know what? I know you're not evil, but where are you coming from on this particular issue? And you know what? I might want to take notes, because I might find my fucking self there eventually, because that's how life works. Right. And it's very humbling. That's all I can say.
Yeah. And, you know, I know in my own personal journey, it's been a long time trying to get to that. It's probably only happened, you know, really recently, because like, no, you know, this is the right way of looking at it.
That's
instead
right.
of, you know, looking at it from somebody else's point of view, or being able to empathize. And, you know, I tell you what, being able to express feelings, that's been a whole new freaking, you know, what is it? Star Trek, you know, the Last Frontier type stuff. That's been a whole different wild west for me. I'll tell you what.
Like,
yeah,
Aladdin and Jasmine.
Oh yeah,
carpet.
dude.
It's a whole new world. But you're still using the same words, but it's deep, and it's well worth the journey. It's not perfect, but that journey is worth it. And also, if not for you, if you're listening, think about the Erik that everyone around you is receiving. You know, you gave praise to your wife, but the Erik that she's receiving now versus the Erik she was receiving then, or the Cam my family receives now versus then. And that does not mean that neither one of us are perfect. But
oh, hell no. Hell no. Don't make that mistake, folks.
No. But the us that we're providing to this world, it may be doing a better justice to them. So I say that because some people, if you're like me, I'm not doing shit for myself. But when I think about that, and many people have heard me express that what brought me to kind of really finally seeking help wasn't ideations, wasn't attempts, wasn't crazy drinking, wasn't trying to hide everything. By the way, we call that bearing in our line of work.
Yeah.
Stuffing shit down and suppressing it. It was when I saw my son walking on eggshells and was like fucking being a people pleaser with me, and was like owning my fuck up, and was like, did I do something wrong? And I'm like, hold up, what the fuck is this? Like, hold up, this kid is somehow basing his like quality of life based off if I'm happy or fucking like because I'm in my fields. That's fucking bullshit. And I had to, you know, and I'm not perfect at that, and I probably still make them feel like shit in some ways because I'm not perfect, but that was a wake-up call to me because my shittiness was now rubbing off on that person.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's a real good point. I mean, you know, in kindergarten, what we learned, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never harm me.
That's what they say.
What a load of bullshit that is.
Load of bullshit.
You know, when Shakespeare said that the pen is mightier than the sword, yeah, it may not kill right away, but you pile up enough negativity and criticism and stuff like that, it can kill. So, you know, once again, like the church says, be kind.
Be kind.
You know, and that's not to say you avoid calling a spade, but sometimes it's not what you say, it's how you say it.
So well said. Yes. So true. And there's a time and a place, right? There is a time and a place to kind of, there's time we have to kind of stuff it down for a second, but to never be open to opening up at all because you're just locked in that mode. And please don't hear me wrong to anyone out there that goes, well, I make people feel like shit, then I don't need to be around. No. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that hurt people. And a lot of us need to break the chain. We need to break that cycle, and we can't change what's done. And that's why I love what like Will Smith said before. He said like fault and responsibility. It's not your fault that your parent was an alcoholic. It wasn't your fault that you got put into a crazy combat situation when you volunteered to serve your country for the reason of 9/11 or whatever your cause was, but it wound up being something it wasn't your fault, but it's damn sure our responsibility to deal with these messes and try to make the best of them. Now, that's the same guy who walked out on a stage and smacked somebody in the face who was a nice person, right? So if you don't deal with your shit deals with you. But to Will Smith's point, I know that dude's done a lot of self-work, obviously didn't stay up on his game, and you can get complacent, and look what he did. I'm just glad my biggest mistakes aren't on national television, so I'm not casting stones. I'm just saying it as an example.
You and me both, brother. Holy moly.
We got to deal with our shit, or it deals with us, or it deals with others. And so, and yes, of course, we could all take the easy out, and I've been there where I'm like, I'm a burden to others. I'm just going to exit stage left and do y'all a favor. But our pain ends, but everyone else's begins. So please do not consider that as an option. Like, there is a brighter day tomorrow. It will come. It may not be pretty. It may take a little while, but it will improve. It will. There's hope. There's hope.
There's always hope. I mean, I told my therapist, one time a while back, it's like, well, what keeps you going, in your darkest? And it's like the hope of hope.
That's beautiful.
Of finding hope. Because right now I'm not feeling it, but I believe I can find it, right? And just that little bit of being able to keep going.
Like you said, don't quit.
And don't quit. And I think at least for me, I think one of the things going back to your circle, what can I control? What can I control? And really working on understanding where those boundaries are at, so to speak.
It's hard.
There's stuff you can, there's stuff you can control. There's stuff you can't. Be kind. Don't be a jackass. Don't be an asshole. Like, oh, F you. Right. Cause we've all met people who are just assholes.
That's right.
I mean, it's just their personality, and they're not much fun to be around. But yeah, I mean, just, I don't know. As my wife would say, be a good human.
Amen. No, it's, but also on that same note, bro, you might be like in your fields and you might be like, man, fuck, nobody gets this. And I'm going to be a dick today. I'm going to be an asshole. Right. But somebody else could be in their most vulnerable moment to where they're at that moment of like tipping. And you could either be that light to kind of push them the right way, or you could be that person, like you said, where, this mightier than the sword could be the one to execute them in a sense because you were an asshole that day. And I'm not trying to put that on anybody. We all have our own free will and our own choices, but you could have been a light to somebody. You could have been kind, and everyone's fighting a battle you know nothing about, but instead you chose to be selfish and be an asshole. Like, if you do that on a regular basis, you got to check yourself, right? As the great poet said, check yourself before you're going to wreck yourself. Ice Cube, I think. No, I'm just playing, but but it's true. You got to check yourself before you wreck yourself. But sadly, we wreck others so often, and that sucks. But hope is a cola. Hope is a course of action.
Yeah. At least in life it is.
It is.
Or at least definitely a mission to obtain, an objective, so to speak.
I couldn't always see that though. And when I was in a darker place, man, I actually read something, a mentor of mine. I went and spoke at a symposium and I hit him up and I said, hey man, if you had opportunity to speak to this crowd on this subject, what would you say? And he said, Marines need to be reminded that they are human. They're not machines. And as a human, they need connections. They need to believe that it's going to be okay. And it's okay to be fearful. And no matter how bad it gets, there are brighter days ahead. And I put under their hashtag Gia, because when I was very suicidal and woke up and was like, what did I almost do last night? That was a few years before my youngest was conceived. So I had no idea that this human would be in my life now. And that could be someone else. It could be a failed marriage. It could be a failed relationship. You don't know what's to come. We just don't know. And then that kid, I mean, I think she's going to be president one day, you know what I'm saying, of the world. But that's my bias. But you know what I'm saying? Like, the world could be robbed of something that you were going to contribute to it in that way. And we already said 1 in a million chances. That's my story. That's mine. But I'm sure others can relate to that as well, that you just don't know not only what is coming, but who is coming and who you could be to somebody else.
Oh, yeah. I remember being a company commander the first time, and my first sergeant come in, and he's like, "All right, sir, what's your guidance?" Right? We're talking military jargon here. First sergeant's your senior listed in your company. he had an open door. He'd close it, call a spade with the officer, even if it was ugly. He says, but we're starting off. And he says, well, what's your guidance? And I said, well, here's my measure of success. And I said, I'm going to warn you, we'll never know if we've reached it.
Ooh.
And he's like, okay, lay it on me. I said, I want just one Marine in our company years from now when they've hung up the uniform, they got their kid, their grandbaby on there, and they go, hey, let me tell you this time back at ... And I said, whether they know our name or not, just that we had touched them in a positive way. And he goes, you're right, sir. There's no fucking way to measure that. I said, how true, First Sergeant? How true?
But it's so real, though. But when you think about it, and y'all know I hear it. I mean, I got it tattooed right here. You can see it. The effect you have on others is the most valuable currency there is. That's Jim Carrey said that. And he never served, but he knows something about having an effect on humans. And that's real. That's our legacy. That's, what Denzel say about the Egyptians try to take all their stuff with them and they just got robbed. Like, you can't take nothing with you. It's going to be those moments. So it's like, are you going to be a shining moment, or are you going to be that moment of, I will never be like him or her or whatever it is? But we choose that day by day by our actions. And if you haven't been doing that so far, folks, you could hit a change step right fucking now.
You can change.
We can. You'd be surprised how many people can come around and be rehabilitated without being in prison. You could rehabilitate yourself without being in prison. You could become a better version of you.
If and it's not easy. So, no bullshit. It's not going to be a walk in the park, because a lot of times in order to change, you gotta face not only what's, going on inside you, but also even challenge how you see the world, how you see yourself, how, and we would call it doing a hot wash, right? So, I remember WTI hot washes were scalding, and that's what I think of, conducting a hot wash on yourself and being brave enough to do that for the purpose of growth.
Not just to criticize, but to grow.
No, to grow. And, another good saying is, get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Because anytime you're comfortable, it's like, you think you've cracked the code, and you've whether you realize it or not, you're probably complacent and you're not growing as a person and fulfilling your, whatever your true potential is. And somebody says, well, what the fuck is that? I'm down and out. And it's like, hey, I don't know, but it's not checking out.
That's right. It's not
for sure. And hey, been there, looked over the bridge, timing when semis are coming by. So, well, if I do it right about now, so yeah, and I think it's probably the first time I ever shared that, other than with the therapist. But I had a laundry list, folks. So yeah, I fully appreciate where you can find yourself and how it can pull you down for a host of different reasons, real, imaginary, and everything in between. But like Cam says, this too will pass, and you just have to keep going.
Got to.
One step at a time.
It sounds so simplistic, and it's so complicated, it's so hard, but it really does boil down to, like, what is my next best move? And even if you can't see all the way through the forest, you look down at your feet and you go, okay, what's the next fucking step? Like, like Rome wasn't built overnight. We all heard that. It didn't fall apart overnight either. The great Jocko Willink said that. And I never thought about it until he said it, because these actions by actions are adding or deteriorating, but we can also, like, take a step back and 2 steps forward. Like, you're not going to be perfect at this. There's so many times where I'm like, dude, you should know better than this. And I'll be honest with you, bro, Eric, the more I know I don't know, bro.
Oh yeah. Yeah. The more I know, the less I know. Yeah. Dude, I wish I was half as smart as I was when I was like 14.
Yeah.
Man, I thought I had shit wired. And the older I get and the more I learn, the less I realize I know. And that's true.
It just is.
True story.
It is. But like, we have to keep faith to keep moving forward. And, you know, we live in a time right now where this seems like an option. And I don't want to say, I just know that this world is better with people in it, as many people as possible. And if it was meant for you to not be here, I believe that you wouldn't be here for other reasons. So there's got to be something, and maybe it's not something, maybe it's for someone. So it's, you got this. Try to play your hand the best you can and focus on what you can control. Don't let those things control you, because they will eat you alive. And they have, to me, as what they have. Oh my God. If I could tell, but once I really honestly cued in on like, what can I control? And let me try to be the best in that area. I'll be honest, bro. I've been so busy with that shit. I ain't had time for no negativity in some ways. And I've realized, like, fuck, I need to figure out some more shit. So it's like kind of been a healthy distraction at the same time. If that makes sense.
Yeah. And, you know, it's, you know, chasing maybe somebody's praise, right? Or, oh man, I have to act in a certain way in order to get praise or get love, or get an attaboy or be recognized, or you know, you're always chasing in you know, it's always more, instead of, I don't know. I used to be a swimmer. So, and just like in track too, oh man, you're going against such and such. It's like, no, you're not. There's just a bunch of people in different lanes at the same time. You're running against the clock. That's right. So it's you against
every
you.
Day.
How did you improve over your last time? You know, this, that, and the other. It doesn't matter who's on your left or who's on your right. And I'm sure, you know, world-class athletes would say, no, it does matter. I'm just saying, from what you can control and what you can't control, it's you in the moment, maximizing the moment you've been given.
That's it.
Right. And waking up and hitting it again and being better than you were yesterday, and striving to be better the next day.
Yeah. I mean,
in whatever capacity that is.
It's so true. And if you tried it and you haven't tried it, folks, just try it. Whatever the thing may be. I mean, I've talked about 16personalities.com. You could do the 4 lenses. I know that's pseudoscience for some people, but it could cue you into some shit that you're drawn to. It's not specific, but it could cue you into maybe some area that you could find. And then you could do what Maslow's hierarchy of needs is, and self-actualize in that area.
You know, shout out for that one. You'd mentioned it earlier on in one of your earlier episodes, and my wife and I actually took that, and we discovered a lot about ourselves, personalities, but more importantly, you know, okay, so I'm this. How do you communicate with that? This sort of personality type? Yeah. Right? No, I'm serious. There were, I think you had shared it. It's like, yeah, you and your wife did it, and it was like, oh. That's why this happens.
No, she literally was like, oh, you're not stupid. And I was like, oh, you're not crazy. Yeah. You know?
Yeah, no, it's the way, you know, and like you said, pseudoscience. I mean, it's not 100%. Okay. You're always going to have an outlier, but if you look at it from a generality standpoint, right, and kind of a guide, that's right, versus, you know, a step-by-step thing, I found it very helpful. And not only how do I interact more positively, say, with my wife, but also what do I need to do? Hey, these personality types, I'm like, ooh, yeah, that's that dude, that sounds like me. Oh, yeah, that kind of sounds like me too. You know, so being able to reflect and, you know, hey, is that where you want to be?
Right.
It's all about, you know, growth and like I said, you know, shout out to my wife, you know, be a good human, be a good dad, a husband, a friend, a coworker.
It adds up day by day, brick by brick. And I've seen that be in fruition with doing these things that I'm doing now, some of the feedback and some of the ways it's helped me, but also the feedback I've gotten out. Like, I'm some saint, and I'm not at all claiming to be perfect, folks. I'm still trying to figure it the fuck out every day. However, these bricks that have been getting added up since I ceased drinking, since I started meds, since I started therapy, And you talk about therapy too. Like I remember talking to my therapist that I had in California. I said to him, I was like, well, it's not fucking Disneyland. He was like, well, do you even like Disneyland? I was like, fuck no, I can't stand amusement parks. He was like, so that wouldn't be a good thing to describe for you. And I was like, no, it wouldn't be. And I don't want to go to an amusement park. And now I'm at a point where, like for you at Costco, I'll be like, I'm not feeling that. That's not where I want to be. That's not going to be, of course I'm going to make reservations at certain times for certain people and things like that, but it's okay not to be okay with that. It's okay to say that shit doesn't work for me. Can somebody else work on going to Costco for me? Or can we plan the reunion not at there, but can we go to the mountains and just hike? Like, it's kind of getting a better understanding of yourself. But then for a lot of us, like you said, the transition from being in uniforms or whatever career you're in and moving to another one, it also helps you in a general sense, knowing what you're drawn to more likely based on your personality type. That doesn't mean you need to marry it and say, well, an ENFP would never feel like this. No, okay, you're not the ambassador of all ENFPs. You're still a human and individual, but it does give you a general understanding. But also it can understand like, oh, me and Erik, we just like some yin and yang type shit. Like we just don't see shit from a fundamental lens the same way. So it brings in that diversity and that appreciation for others' differences, but it also lets you know it's okay not to be okay with everything. And like my man Jose in Cherry Point said, I love you, Jose, if you're listening to this. He said recently, it's okay not to be okay, but it's not okay to stay that way. And I said, fuck, man, like that says it all. It's okay not to feel okay, ladies and gentlemen, but it's not okay to stay that way and to just sulk in it. You got to switch some shit up. If you do what you've always done, you're always going to get what you always got. It's just fucking science. Like, it's just life. So I know I just went on a rant there, but I wanted to throw that out there.
Oh, no. Did you ever watch The Voice? I think it's The Voice. Is it The Voice or America's Got Talent?
I've seen them all.
What was her name? Nightbird? Is it Nightbird? The girl who had cancer, so she didn't make it to the finals. Okay. And one of the things she said on before Simon gave her like golden buzzer type thing, because she had gone through multiple rounds of chemo and everything else, and it ended up killing her. But she goes, I think one of the questions, well, how do you go on? And she goes, well, I can't wait for life to be easy to be happy, because it and a lot of us think, oh, I'm going to be happy if I have this. Yeah. Right. We're filling the blank. And it was just, really, just really powerful, say, you've got this one moment. The future has yet to be, the past is already done. You can't do anything with it. So what are you going to do with this one moment in time, as you go through time, of course, but what are you going to do with it that, to find that positive thing, that positive view, that, the joy, the happiness, whatever the case is. And once again, it's not all rainbows and unicorns. That's not what I'm saying, but just to be appreciative of the stuff around you. And believe me, I've had to dig. There've been days where I've had to really dig hard, and just in some cases just push the I believe button, because I couldn't necessarily put my finger on it, and just say, okay, I'm going to believe there's some goodness here. I just don't know what it is, and wait for the storm to pass.
Because this too shall pass. And why that was so powerful to me is because I always looked at it like, some shit's going bad. This is going to pass. But it's also in those good moments to savor them, to appreciate it even more, because as we know, this too shall pass. This moment won't last, right? And the complacency kills. And I know the great General Smith said recently, complacency kills. You can right click it for a synonym, maintain momentum. You have to maintain the momentum moving forward on things. Because if you don't, you'll get complacent, you'll get atrophy, and then complacency kills and it starts settling in. So as these moments pass, essentially what you're saying and what I'm receiving is, are you making the most of it while you got it? Because you're here anyway, you might as well do the best with it. And if not for you folks, what about for the others around you? And we could do this nihilistic, nothing matters type shit. And I love Metallica, Nothing Else Matters too. That's a great track, but I can't live my fucking life like that, man. I'm gonna make people miserable as well as myself. How's that working out? I've tried it. It doesn't fucking feel good.
Yeah.
It's a great song though.
Amen.
It's a great song.
That's true.
Yeah. I just want to ask the tribe part that you spoke about knowing about your tribe, being a part of that tribe, how fundamentally important it is to us. And sometimes we need to find our people, right? Because some people, no matter what you do, are going to hate you or dislike you. Trust me, I get so much feedback from so many people that say I'm unprofessional and I have no parent. I got a new hashtag, new call sign. I'm not even a pilot, but NASA, no parent situational awareness. I was like, fucking thanks. I'm out of this world. But that's what NASA was standing for. But I got to keep it honest and keep it raw. And that's how I think we'll make it forward on stuff. But that person's obviously not my people, right? But there's other people, like you said, your wife and other people that no matter what will unconditionally love you. The key is to find our tribe and find our people. When you were with our tribe, which wasn't always perfect, of being in the uniform and being a Marine on active duty, you're always a Marine.
Oh no!
But transitioning now, do you have any thoughts on that? The tribal effect or lack thereof?
Well, I once had a boss when I was getting ready to leave uniform. He goes, just remember, he goes, Marines take care of Marines. The Marine Corps doesn't take care of Marines.
Facts.
And I was like, well, that's kind of cynical, but I don't know, a few weeks ago, I was at, getting some gas. Getting ready to drive away, and all of a sudden, knock, knock, knock on the window. And there's this older gentleman. I roll down. Says, hey, I noticed your license plate. You're a Marine? I'm like, yeah. He goes, well, me too. And it was so cool because just that, yeah, I'm a Marine, you're a Marine. All of a sudden we have this instant familiarity. Hey, were you at Paris Island? Were you, freaking San Diego? Where'd you get, it's just super cool, right? Which you will miss when you get out.
And if only us an inmate say get out.
Oh, well, I saw one the other day. It was on LinkedIn. I don't even remember who posted it, but it was talking about getting out. Oh man, I can't wait till I get my DD 214. Sitting around waiting on the word. Some prick officers waiting. We're sitting out here, and I'm missing Liberty Call and all this shit. It's like woohoo! It's like, yeah, you're really excited, for about 2 weeks.
Yes.
And he says, basically, you're in rehab. He goes, you're in rehab the rest of your life because you're always like gonna want to go back. You can't, but you. Oh man, I remember the camaraderie and all. You forget all of the.
We take it for granted. We take it for granted.
We did, and there's. You don't get that camaraderie through happy-go-lucky stuff. It's mucking through the mud and the rest of the suffering. But I think finding your tribe. I'll be honest. I still haven't found it. I've got a handful of friends. I can count them on like one hand that I could call up, and I have out of the blue, in really dark, troubling time, and man, boom, they answer
beautiful.
It. Having something like that is really key. I think
you get a fire team, folks. That's a team of 4 that you roll with everywhere you go. You need that. You need at least a fire team.
You need a fire team, right? So yeah, I still haven't found it. At least for myself. I know, some people find it through, church or, their synagogue, mosque, religion outlet. Some of them find it in, group sports, VFW, those sorts of things. I'm probably just an oddball, and maybe it's just I'm too particular. I don't know. But I really haven't found that. I can get along with anybody, but as far as having those real tight-knit connections, I've got plenty of friends, but I don't necessarily have a lot of those sorts of folks.
No, I respect that, and I appreciate you being honest with that. I'm just asking off the cuff. I didn't stage this, but did you get a taste of it this evening in this conversation?
What was
the
that?
Connection?
Oh yeah. I mean, how easy was that? Like, oh, Cam, hey man, I don't know if you remember me. It's like, oh yeah, So I mean, just being able to do that, and to be quite honest, share a little bit about me and my story. And, this wasn't for my ego or pat me on the back.
No.
It's like I said, scared to death. And I'm just glad it's pulled off, and I'm hoping buried somewhere in my oxygen thief running my lips that there's a couple nuggets that might help somebody out there, even if it's changing asthmas.
Yes, no, it's you said it best. You never know how the effect it's going to have on somebody else. And if you're an oxygen thief, well, I'm fucking Bernie Madoff of oxygen thieving stuff. But in all seriousness, man, like, again, I say this publicly all the time. Our egos want to have the impact of Dr. King having a Million Man March, right? We want that. Like, we really do. And I seriously want to impact that and mention more people, right? But at the end of the day, maybe all of this is just for one person to hear you tonight on this recording, or to hear me in one of my rants or some shit and go, and it clicks. But it never clicked before, or something, some perspective or some new thing. And it kind of leads them down that path. And you've done what we do since humans have done since the beginning of time. We've made somebody else better. And I think that's the only way humans get things done. So the fact that you're willing to be vulnerable, because that takes heart, that takes courage, that takes openness, and you didn't at all come off like an ego or victim or anything like that. You're just sharing your experience.
And let everybody know it sucks. I just want to let you know that this is not my bag, baby.
Well, I'm grateful for you, Erik. I really am, man. And I think that the way that you led with all of this, like, hey, I'm not going to tell you all the things to do. I'm just going to tell you some things I fucked up, like but that's real. And sometimes that's the best stuff to learn from. Like, don't make these mistakes. Don't wait I saw this thing that I identified with 7 out of 8 questions in 2017, but it took me until this time and this to occur and these mistakes to happen for me to actually address it. And that's no diss to you. It's just a great friend of mine.
That's a fact. Just a fact, brother.
And a great friend of mine, she's suffering some adversity right now, but she said recently, I heard her on a recording, Sergeant Major Fields retired podcast he does. A good friend of mine, Beth, she said, get a therapist before you need a therapist, and that really rang true to me because we're so quick to react. And most of the people I talk to, similar to our conversation tonight, you think you got it all together until you don't. So don't wait for that. Don't wait for that permanent thing to occur that may hurt somebody else or hurt you. And you'd be like, fuck, I could have made it better. Not perfect, but could have made it better. There's a brighter day coming tomorrow. Hope is a COA. What General Smith say, if the sun's coming up tomorrow, which it is, then there's a reason to have hope. Like, I know it sounds corny, cliche, but it's only cliche because it's fucking true. Things only become cliche because they're true. No pain, no gain, et cetera, et cetera. So, Erik, man, I just want to tell you thank you. And just to recap on, you said Unfuck Yourself by Gary John Bishop, Daring Greatly, Brene Brown. The podcast you shouted out that helped you out, you said mindful mental meditation or mental mindfulness.
Oh gosh. Men Talking
Mindfulness. Because another thing in here, and I know you've heard some of my episodes, we want to give people tangible resources, not just happy talk, but actual, like, here's some tangible shit you could try to push you in the right direction. I'll tell you, from knowing those 2 books you said, and just the principle of you saying shit, it's a fucking starting block for all of us for self-improvement, or just life improvement, or human flourishing, or being the best possible version of ourselves. I'm just grateful for you, man. And I love your shirt. Be kind. Because everyone's fighting a battle you know nothing about, my brother. I do want to ask one last question. If there was somebody out there right now thinking about making a permanent choice over obviously a temporary circumstance, as all things are temporary, what would you say to that human out there that's in that moment? It's like, this is it, man. Fuck this. It's done. What would you say to them if they're getting there?
That's a tough one. Because I think the reality is the only one who can change the trajectory of that boat is the person in the driver's seat. And the person in the driver's seat is you. Even if you don't have anything to grasp onto, like I said, for me, the longest time it was, hoping for hope. In the belief that I didn't have it in the moment, but I believed it was coming. I just had to wait. It was over the next hill. It was the next step. It was, and lo and behold, things may have still sucked, but they weren't dark and deep, and me contemplating it's time to depart the pattern permanently. You're here for a reason, and it's not to check out. The powers that be, the good Lord, they've got a plan. And I can't believe it's throwing away the moment you have. There's better things to come, and in the moment, I've been there, I've heard it. It's like nobody knows what I'm going through. Nobody understands, and it's the inner bitch is pulling the wool over your eyes. Kill it.
Yeah, no, thank you,
kill
man.
it or change it.
Is there anything on your mind or on your heart that you'd want to share with the audience in closing?
Keep going. Like I said, life's a trip. There's good and there's good and bad, and sometimes it's a roller coaster. But I heard a saying once upon a time. It was do the best you can for as long as you can, for as many people as you can, something along those lines, or do all the good you can. Make a difference. Make a positive difference.
That's
be
so
the
true.
change.
And like it or not, y'all, we all we got as human beings. So are you part of the problem? You're part of the solution. And trust me, this world is better with all of us in it, trying to flourish and make each other better. That's how humans get things done. Erik, man, again, thank you for being vulnerable. Thank you for being on here. And thank you for your service. And please, big shout out to your family and to your wife for being that rock and being that human that we all need. For real. What New Edition say that can't stand around on the perfect day. I know that I can count on. I'm not going to do Johnny Gill, but you know what I'm saying. It's can you stand the rain? And she's obviously stood it. So tell her we said thank you for having her umbrella.
She's
that's outstanding.
She's a rock beautiful. Star.
And to anyone listening that has
she's
one
a
of
hero
those in their life and you haven't said thank you in a while, gratitude's one hell of a drug. Express that gratitude because we might not be always able to every single day of the moment that we want to. So say thank you now while you got people. Much love to you all. As always, this is no reflection of anybody but two humans speaking, and Americans at that, using our First Amendment that we've defended. So this is no reflection or endorsement from any official agency. And as always, like I like to say, like Keith Sweat said, we are sponsored by nobody, baby. All right. He's like, damn, can I just get off of this? Why you singing all this Johnny Gill, Keith Sweat? Hey, y'all be good. Make good choices.
Peace out, man.
I don't want to be your single point of failure by any means. I hope you got somebody in your fire team, somebody in your circle. But if I could be there for you, y'all know how to get at me. Reach out to me. And I also plug some of these resources in the show notes that Erik's been so kind to share with us tonight. Erik, thank you again, brother. Thank you. One team, one fight. One team, one ugly-ass fight, y'all. Like it or not, we all we got. Much love. This has been the Real Resilience Talk.